joining here tonight. The title is From Connected to Intelligent and the Future of Everyday Device. Let's see what might it be. But before we talk about the future, let's start with a little question. What's the common denominator? What's the common denominator for all those devices that you see up there? Smart TV, smart bulb, smart speakers, smart printers, which were mentioned here. We might talk a little bit further later on. Smart fridge. Any ideas?
Smart.
They're smart. That's correct. They have smart in their name. Absolutely right. They have smart in their name, but actually are mostly connected. Mostly connected. Smart is a good way to say connected today. What would be a really smart fridge? I'm sure you have seen, or you may have seen those fridges at conferences or shows, which are connected to the internet and they have a screen on them. But what would be a really smart fridge? Just some examples of potential smartness within those devices. So just imagine that you would know what's the inventory inside the fridge at every given time. Diet assistant, what should I eat today? Expiration date tracking, automatically adding to your shopping list if something is missing from the fridge. If a child is walking toward the fridge, should it be opened or not opened according to different rules. So all of that, this is a big smart fridge, not just connected with a screen. Anyone has that at home at the moment? Do you have that? Why not?
Yes.
Why don't I have this? Someone has that? Oh, that's fantastic. So you probably also have your Back to the Future machine at home when you came back to tell us all about that. So what's the reason that we don't have this, right? It sounds like a fantastic idea and I'm probably not the only person who's thinking of that. Why don't we have that here? So I want to give another perspective on AI, because smart is artificial intelligence. And besides for cost, latency, connectivity, sending, or AI today is mostly on the cloud, right? That's where you have all the infrastructure. But there is one challenge with sending all this data to the cloud, and that's privacy. You know, if you have a camera on your fridge, and you walk towards it, I'm not sure that I want this image to be sent every time to the cloud. As you may have heard, it has happened in the past that the cloud has been hacked. So I would prefer to keep it to myself. So privacy is a big concern. Was that a question? No? All right. So privacy is a big concern. And so this requires the actual compute to be done on the edge device itself. So in this case, on the fridge. The fridge should have the processing unit in order to do all this smart stuff. And there are still two challenges in order to tackle this as we speak today. Because in the cloud it's possible, and at the edge there are two main challenges. One, as slightly Neil mentioned, there is a hardware requirements. The hardware requirements in order to compute AI are excessive computational resources, and the cost to have this kind of hardware to perform this kind of calculation just doesn't make sense to be on the edge device. The cost for the consumer would be way too excessive, so people just would not buy it. This is one problem. And this is the second problem with developing those smart fridge is the fact that there is a shortage in AI developers. Any AI developer in the room? One. So 10% of this room, let's say, are AI developers. So you're in a very, very unique group of people, because according to a Tencent research, only 500,000 people in the world are able to develop AI models, versus 29.5 million developers, software developers. Not to mention my grandmother, which has no idea about it, but even the 29.5 million developers are application developers or server-side developers, but they are not AI experts, and they do not necessarily have data scientist skills, and they need someone who develops the models for them. So that's another big challenge, the hardware requirements and the shortage of talent, and that's mostly the holdup in getting the smart fridge to your home or other very smart devices to your home. So there is if we are referring to the hardware requirements, there is an entire ecosystem as we speak trying to tackle this challenge. On the left-hand side, we have plenty of hardware suppliers which are currently working on reducing the cost of AI accelerators or AI chipsets. So from Intel, Qualcomm, to NVIDIA, to Intuitive, and I can name a dozen others of startups which are currently working on those solutions, and this is definitely coming. The cost is still not so cheap, but it's getting there, slowly but surely. And on the right-hand side, there are software solutions in order to reduce the need for this kind of hardware. So obviously Google with the TensorFlow Lite is providing an infrastructure to be able to run on lower computational resources, not very low, but lower computational resources. Intel with the OpenVINO has some sort of solution. By the way, Qualcomm also have an SDK which is dedicated only for their hardware, but also to be able to run on edge devices. And we are also part of this ecosystem. We have an acceleration method. We reduce the amount of calculation required by 90 to 96%, which enables us also to run on a low processing unit. And when I'm saying us, I mean Red Falcon, which is my company. If you remember, we talked about, so we talked about the shortage in talent, right? So in the cloud, if you want to have this rather simple application, face detection and some feature extraction, age, gender, etc., simple application. If you are an AI developer, not a problem. If you are one of those 29.5 million application developers, in the cloud what you're doing is that you are using one of the cognitive services. Cognitive services such as AWS Recognition, Salesforce has Einstein, Google Vision API, Microsoft has the cognitive services. Those are web services which enable you as an application developer to send image or video as an input and get back the data which is inside those data. But at the edge, as you remember, we have the challenge. Besides for latency and connectivity, there is a challenge of privacy, and when you want to do the same thing on the edge itself, you need other solutions. So Microsoft is currently working on something which is to provide cognitive services on edge gateways. Edge gateways are PCs or small servers which will reside near to the sensor, not extremely low cost, but much lower cost than the cloud. As I mentioned, we provide cognitive services on the edge itself. We provide an SDK which enables application developers to harness the power of AI without the need for AI expertise. And similar to that, there's also another company called Pilot AI, which are doing also something in this space. So there is another entire ecosystem which is trying to help application developers which do not have direct access to data scientist expertise to harness the power of AI, even on edge devices. So what would be a really smart printer? If we mention printers, what potentially could be interesting use cases? Obviously, this is just from my ideas, and I'm sure there can be many, many more. But person, location, and object curation. So to enable you to create a collage or an album based on specific locations or specific scenery, or even, get me all the pictures of my kids at Halloween from age 5 to 10. This kind of search. Find all the pictures where I'm with my daughter riding my bike. So this is on the search part or curation part. Automatic beautification. So obviously, not everyone is as beautiful as I am. and you need some retouch. AI can do that really nicely, without the Photoshop, just slight changes to get some better looking, either yourself, but also the scenery. Just imagine the use case that a 17-year girl in Seattle is taking a selfie, and I'm stuck in the background. All she wants is just to click and remove me, right? So to do this in an automatic way, beautification and enhancement of images. Another interesting thing to do. Do you know this family? Have you heard of this family that took all the videos that they have taken in birthdays and in the kindergarten, and then they sat down and they watched the entire thing for the entire night? Do you know that family?
No.
Me neither. So those videos are pretty much useless, but just imagine that you could get, just the 10 best shots out of those videos and just, send them to your grandmother. That would be fantastic, wouldn't it? And it would also save so much time with, trying to edit those videos. It's fantastic. All right, I believe that this is the thank you for you.